Charlotte goes to Josh Adams.
Tonight's action is brought to you in part of Simu Nation, empowered indeed by NOX Gaming. Shop for all major sim racing brands under one roof. NOX Gaming also offers PC building services throughout Canada. Tonight's action brought to you in part also by Wolf Sim Racing. Wolf Sim Racing builds the high-end gear that makes the difference. Precision engineered dashboards and mods designed for ultimate performance. Don't just play the game, live it. Tonight, we expect things to get pretty wild as we're around the midway point of the season after this mark. Mike, Florida, when it comes to Sebring, known for its respect of how bumpy this circuit can be, but also how technical parts can be, as well as some of the areas such as the Owen Strait.
It's known as the GOAT track, a track as old as about the 1950s of World War II runway at one point in time. But tonight we'll be on the grid for these drivers that you see here tonight. The points lined up in front of us. Xavier Chamberlain still at the top right now with 233 points, one win to his name. Christopher Larson also one win to his name, 160 points. Maxim Messenev down in 153 points for third position. And again, the last of our winners thus far, 3 winners in 3 races, Justin, and the rest of the drivers not too far behind when it comes to the points.
Yeah, that's the understanding when it comes to today. It should be pretty intense how things can go. Remember last time out, though, the drama with drivers running out of fuel on the last laps. That included the Ford Blues running out of gas in the closing stages. But as these drivers prepare for today, it's time to look over to your track guide. Brought to you by Wolf Sim Racing, driven once again by Xavier Chamberlain. Let's take a look at this one. Mike, talk us through this track.
Now this is a bit of a flat circuit, but as you mentioned, Justin, it is bumpy. You want to use all of the track that you can here, get as close to the wall and run out wide. You can dip a tire onto the dirt. It's not the end of the world, but it certainly can be if you go too deep. Down into the next few corners, it is a back and forth 3, 4, 5, left, right, left. And long left-hander till you get on the accelerator. The understeer central, as it feels like. A little bit of a hair down moment as you go through Big Bend and down into the hairpin. Decent overtaking opportunities here. If you're bold enough, you can get a good run, fight your way to the inside, and force your opponent to the out. It gets a little tight, though, as you can see. The grass is never far away here at Sebring, and that can be the end of a lap in no time. Get another bit of a breather through Fangio and on the way down towards Cunningham in turn 10. Don't really want to be making any overtaking chances here. It's a high-speed, high-commitment corner, and you're gonna be bumping and banging, we'll put it lightly. Through Collier and down your way towards the tower corner. This is another setup opportunity where you can prioritize your exit on the way down towards Bishop Bend, turn 14. You blink and you miss it. This is a flat-out sector that requires a tremendous amount of commitment. One of the worst parts for me personally on the track. I always seem to end up deep here. On the way through the curb, using all of the circuit to your advantage, touch the curb on the inside, touch the grass on the out, and back on the accelerator, and on your way down to another decent overtaking opportunity, but more importantly here, gonna be the final corner of the track. Sunset Bend. Long right-hander, chuck it in, get onto the accelerator. And on the way through, get as close to the wall, but not quite touching, and back through, and that is going to be turn 17 done and dusted in one lap at Sebring, brought to you by Wolf Sim Racing.
Yeah, and it's going to be for drivers here. Mike, it's important to mention, pardon me for cutting you off, There were rainy conditions in practice. How does that change how you approach this track?
Well, as we can see here, this track is going to be very important for qualifying, especially as it is so flat, so difficult to overtake. 3.7 miles or 6.1 kilometers these drivers have to tackle with 17 corners, 10 to the right and 7 to the left. 3 meters of elevation to be found here. That's about 10 feet for us Americans. And as we can see here, Justin, as we get into the race format for tonight, it's going to get long.
Yeah, 75 laps, remember, as usual, custom setups when it comes to Simu Nation competition, which means all these competitors we test on how much their work's been put in. It's also worth noting we are running with the endurance layout. What does that mean for our drivers? You see how there's the front straightaway pits usually where the paddock club is. Now on the right side-ish of your screen right now. Instead, we're going to the left where you usually have a lot of the garage areas set up. That's instead where crews will be working all throughout the day for their pit stops. So we'll be pitting down the Ullman Straight instead of right along the front stretch.
Guarantee that won't cause any confusion whatsoever for us in the broadcast, but we'll get through it, I assure you, tonight. The pit stops we can expect somewhere around the 30s, I would imagine, when it comes to the laps. We'll see as we get into it. Obviously, some of the cars, Justin, being different fuel.
Currently working through a quick technical side of things as qualifying gets started, as times get on the side of your board here today. Again on V-Speed for today's coverage of Simu Nation Racing. Just Prince Mike Noss. We're actually on the producer stand here for today. And an interesting trend, producer stand here for today. And an interesting trend already, Mike. Already, if you've noticed here with the cars, a lot of one-lap shoot already. If you've noticed here with the cars, a lot of one-lap shootouts for qualifying. A lot of people taking the lap, taking the tow. Not a couple-lap build-up like we normally would see.
No, surprisingly so, and everyone finding their own little groove as they can on the circuit, really, as we see Stefan Della Fonte out on circuit himself. No helping hand, no slipstream, no friends to be found at the moment, but there's all different times around him as well. It's early in qualifying. There's still plenty of time to go. Just get out there, get a good feel for the circuit, start rubbering it in, and get a good feel for the car. Now, I think the drivers already had done that in practice, but of course, always more time for practice, and seeing the separation in the lap times right now with Xavier Chamberlain up at the top, 2:11.8 to start us off with. 2:12 is going to be our next time, so we definitely expect to see that window close up with the 2:13s also in the background, and woo, a little bit of a slippy sliding moment there for Stefan. He'll be right back on circuit, no issues to be found. Well, never mind.
Yeah, well, taking a tow and immediately going back to that paddock area. Here is Whit Maisonneuve, right now 9th amongst the Fords. And keep in mind, in terms of the manufacturer side of things, there is a breakdown some drivers do have access to on what's the best times. The alien times, as in your superhuman, are at Sebring in 2-minute lap times in LMGT3. I don't think we're seeing that many times that quick. In fact, we're in the 2:11 still. Some of the times reportedly can get as quick as in the ballpark of the 2:03s, depending on the primary conditions, but with it being so hot, we aren't going to reach that main tipping point. However, the Lamborghini, interesting enough, has the projected best BOP when it comes to some of the metrics some teams have for the manufacturer side. Obviously, Laporte going to have a chance to take advantage with that, but the Porsches seem pretty solid to start.
Yeah, they seem to be up at the top. Now, to be fair, these are some of the more heavy hitters that you would expect to be up at the top, regardless of what manufacturer, what car they're going to be driving. But they are still going to be, obviously, plugging away. And I'm surprised. I'd expect the Ferrari also to be very strong as well. Again, one of the cars that's more dominant in a straight line. Now, it's not, I guess, the most in terms of straight lines here, but down that back stretch, it feels like an absolute eternity when you're on the hammer. And there we see the side-by-side slipstream, but the Ford, or it's a BMW, seemed like going like a rocket ship. Nope, that's the McLaren. Okay, a bit of a kerfuffle going on right now. And to be fair, these drivers need to sort themselves out and find some open track or work with each other, one of the two.
Yeah, this isn't a track I normally would classify as a drafting one. Keep in mind, because of, even though you have the open straight, even though you have a couple of areas you can get maybe some pull on, it's really about how well you attack these corners to be able to set yourselves up for those long straightaways. Take the run out of Big Bend, getting a chance to build up a run to get a chance to dive to the inside up for the hairpin up here. So critical just to have a chance to be able to make a set by the hotel here. As you see some of the drivers just struggling to get the grip and saying, let's go and have a beach party out on the grass instead.
That sounds like a great idea, to be fair. I think everybody would like that, but no, now is not the time. Now is not the place. There's a time and place for everything, as we all know. But right now,
Vortex having issues in that section, for example. There is the potential of a lot of stack-ups off the start. Take, for example, last year during the sprinting with Richard, and how much these drivers can then bottle up and pack up into each other and crash.
Yeah, hopefully we don't see that, but it is certainly a possibility, to say the least. These cars, these tracks, they're not, it's an old track. It's very, very narrow when it comes to the modern day wide body GT3s that we have out there. I mean, this Aston Martin, honestly, is one of the smaller cars in reality, the Ford Mustang being an absolute giant, even the Ferrari being quite wide these days, and every single car going to be all out, kerfuffled together, and yeah, it can cause a bit of chaos. Now, of course, we pride ourselves for the quality of racing here at the community Simu Nation, so I don't expect that too much, but anything can happen in motor racing, and it normally does.
We see crazier things. You know who's having a good qualifying run? The 22. Desarnaud is up there in 4th position as we go on. Keep in mind, 12 for the point standings for that Porsche, your second highest of the Porsches as well. So we still fall to the 87. Keep in mind, for Jonathan's case, his best finish was 4th to start the season. You know how he's been since then? 20th and 17th. So it's not been great since the opening round where he was looking electrifying. This track seems to suit him to start off this round, though.
Yeah, luck has not been a lady, unfortunately, for him. But tonight can always change. Let's see if we can bring it back, just get the consistency down is I feel like what needs to happen, going for the desperate dive bombs and even just trying to go for defenses that maybe aren't going to be the most valid. That's always the big chunks, I guess that you could say, that get taken away from drivers. And I'm assuming ignore the graphic on the left as everybody is on wet tires. That doesn't seem correct.
That's actually an interesting question. We'll get clarification on that because I do see blue wall tires on the side. I doubt they're running on wets on a dry track. But with under 9 minutes to go, look at the weather. That is maybe a thought here. It is light rain on the projection. We're not seeing any rain spitting around and no puddles flying up. Where in practice, it was full rain in this session. It is pretty windy. Look at that, 25.2 kilometers per hour at the moment, locked.
Yeah, it is, and still, I'm just watching the onboards here a little bit closer, and I'm seeing occasionally when they hit the curbs, I can't tell if it's grass popping up or if there's a little bit of water on track, but that certainly explains the slippy, slidey moments that we're seeing from a lot of these drivers. A few, I think even Xavier Chamberlain struggling. I just watched him go around on track, so not necessarily the easiest conditions for a very not that easy track.
Yeah, you have to think weather is going to be a factor for much of this race, just with the way the skybox. Top